Jairo, thank you for joining me today. I just want to say I know that you are really busy right now, and that's a great thing. I just want to welcome you to Over the Fence, our latest episode of our video podcast. You are the owner of Cruces Cedar Clearing, and that's just one part of what you're doing right now. So I want to give you the opportunity to explain and talk to people about what cedar clearing is, because in our conversations, that was just a small portion of what you're doing in your business. And so if you'll just start with how your business developed and talk a little bit about what that part of your business is, and then we can kind of transition into the other part of your business, which is also real estate.
All right. Well, thank you. It's a pleasure speaking to you this morning. I am very excited and thankful for the invitation with Over the Fence. So primarily, cedar clearing is something that's well known as, pretty much people say, is just clearing the land, stripping trees, knocking them down, just kind of the simple here and there. I see it in a different perspective. The cedar clearing, the business name as it is right now, I primarily did that for various reasons. One of them is because we always try to conserve the land, and that's through the practices of timber harvesting. So what we do is, instead of just clearing the land and laying down the trees and not conserving much of the land, what we do is we harvest it and we sell it as cedar wood, and we also do cedar posts out of the material, out of the cedar trees. So majority of that is done, and most of the brush that is left over, we are able to chip it, mulch, and also be able to burn just in certain areas depending on where we're at, just kind of making sure that we conserve the land and the soil. So our practices are very meticulous, and in terms of trying to figure out what's best for every terrain. And we always try to ensure that the landowners are happy, and of course, providing more value towards wildlife and the natural environment.
I think that was like in our prior conversations, prior to recording the podcast, that was my perspective when I think about clearing land. When I look at these big development jobs, is just, again, going back to that whole stripping it and kind of like not leaving anything. And so when I looked at your website, I was really kind of just blown away, one, by your mission statement, and two, by the pictures that you have up there. And really what I saw is your core values of really looking at the ecology, looking at the wildlife. And what you're trying to do is really build a culture of maintaining that wildlife. You're going in there and you're really looking at the entire environment. And I really just appreciate that. So I think a lot of people, especially here in the hill country, they think of clearing and that really bothers them. And so I really appreciate what you're doing and the perspective that you're taking on it.
Yes, it's always a pleasure just being able to see the smile on our landowners' faces with our clients, just making sure that we just not only provided a service, but we provided more value towards their land. And of course, I mean, their animals that they have there, the grazing, agriculture, when it comes to their cattle and all of that. And of course, wildlife as in deer, and also discovering natural springs in areas. So we actually are able to get down there. I know it's a little bit of a rigorous work in terms of manual labor, but we try to ensure our practices over experience of many years, just making sure that we're able to get it done. So we don't waste as much physical effort in terms of trying to provide the best service possible.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about how your business started, because I know this is truly a legacy business, right? This was started with your dad.
Yes. So it all began when I was a little boy. So my dad worked for a well-known company here in Kerrville for over 25 years. He was one of the right handmans there, and he started working at it at an early age. What happened with me was that at the time, we weren't able to afford a babysitter. So I would go with my dad, and I'd be with him in the truck, and he'd be like, "Hey, well, you can stay here, and I'll be over here working. Just be here and there." And well, I mean, after a while, I would get bored being inside the truck, and I'd go out and walk around, making sure that no snakes would get onto me or any sort of that. But I mean, I started noticing how they were always motivated. Him and his crew were always just um, I didn't understand at first when they were knocking down the trees, and I saw it like that. And what I started seeing was they were still grabbing material out of the cedar, and also how unique they were. Just amazed about the service that they were providing. And over time, as a little boy, I started realizing that it went beyond just providing the service. Um, we would speak to many local landowners here in Kerrville and in the hill country area, and they just started talking to us. My dad was very conversative with them, and I was as well, and it just kind of blended in. And they were, well, my father, he's from Mexico, and the language is kind of tough at times to communicate, so I was always the translator. And
Love it.
I kind of just started going from there, and just started liking the service that they provided. And I started realizing it once I got older and went to college, that I could go beyond just doing the work that we did. So my dad broke off from the company back in the recession in '08. He was having a difficult time finding work for the first couple of years. Luckily, there was a landowner, or one of the past clients where he used to work at, that called him, and it just kind of went from there, one job at a time.
Yeah. And it's so cool that you brought that up, because I think, a lot of times when we're looking at recessions or we're looking at crisis, that's the time that really spurs small business owners or entrepreneurs to go off on their own and develop these companies and start something new. And so in the midst of this, you've kind of started something new, right?
Yes.
There's another little component to what you're doing right now, which kind of ties into the clearing, or and preserving the land and development, and that's the real estate part.
Of course. So much of that started getting into my interest once I was in at an older age in college. I was starting to we were starting to get business with real estate agents, brokers in town, and it sparked to me. She was a great role model. Her name's Cynthia Thomas. She worked for Century 21, and now she works for Texas Land and Ranch. But she was really a prime motivator of me trying to get into real estate as well, because she would speak to us, and we would help her, close her deals, but we would also conversate, and we were able to see how well she was able to provide her business and be able to get the deal done in a short amount of time that we provided the service. And of course, I mean, I kind of went beyond it and said, you know what? I mean, besides the great commission I guess you can receive, you go beyond that, because you're also able to realize how to conserve land and preserve real estate and appreciate it even more. And of course, I mean, I think it's something that I really enjoy to do now. And I mean, I love it. I love it because, I mean, we can go out, develop a land, and make sure that we can provide more business and more homes for families. And that's really a prime motivator for me to provide here in Kerrville.
So, you reached out to me. We were having a lot of great conversations prior to this, and one of the things that I was really happy to be able to share was that you are actually a recipient of the Texas Business Hall of Fame Award. So, talk to me a little bit about that. That is through HEB, correct? That's an HEB
That
award.
Yes, that is correct. So, well, this goes through the organization and from HEB, the award. So, what it is, the Texas Business Hall of Fame is where many prestigious uh, business owners all over the state of Texas that are well known. I mean, top CEOs from that have started here in Texas give this award towards recipients at universities that have displayed um, a lot of success in their startups, and also providing revenue as of now. And I was fortunate enough. I had actually applied last year and I wasn't the recipient, but this year it was took time and I believe I was ready. And I mean, it's an honor because part of this is I'm part of the alumni group, and what it is it's a network of professionals that have been in business for many years and that also understand the importance of sustainability. Um, Primarily with HEB, we actually have the honor to provide service towards the family land in Kerrville that not many people know where it is located. Not many people knew if they had that piece of land, but we actually work for the Butt family there. And I mean, it's an honor. It's great that we were able to stumble alongside them because they were able to see how much value we provide to the land and their animals and all of that. And we have such a great relationship. So much of that, I give thanks to HEB and many of the close owners that I have relationships with now. And I really, truly value that. And I believe it can expand even more with what we try to accomplish.
And I love how that all ties together. One, honoring you for the award, really what again, it goes back to what your mission is, what your core values are, not just in your family, but in your business, in you as a person. It's just a cool story how it all just comes together. And so the other part of this is that, you're not just servicing the Kerrville area in what you do. You really are expanding outside of the Kerr County area. And so your team is actually going, I think we've talked about, out into Gillespie County. You've even provided services beyond that, even real estate in Dallas. So, you're all over Texas.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's fun, and I've always had that entrepreneurial spirit. Primarily, it came from being at the University of Incarnate Word. A couple of professors that have really guided me in this journey has been Dr. Vequist, who was my entrepreneurship professor, and also Dr. Alesegun Oyedeli, international business professor. They've been some of my prime mentors in terms of trying to go beyond just having the normal job life and just kind of not liking work. I was an athlete myself, and I've always I was a track and field Division 1 athlete at Incarnate Word. So I always wanted more. I always pushed myself, and even now, I mean, I know I'm busier, and we're starting to look at more options in terms of receiving more help. But I mean, I'm motivated. I mean, I wake up early in the morning every day, just ready to get in a workout or making sure I maintain healthy, making sure I'm on top with my clients as best as I can. And I mean, really, and I really believe that if you learn to work alongside people, you're going to be successful.
And I was just about to ask you, how do you define success? But I think you just answered that. So I love that. Do you find that in keeping that rhythm of discipline, something that you started, with that athletic, do you find that has kind of led into good business practices? Because I think, maybe there are people that are looking for ways to incorporate things in their business mind or in their practices that might drive them to a little bit more success.
Well, yes. I mean, I really think those long hours that I was running outside, I was a long distance runner, and I always had to, put in the extra work and be running late at night or early in the morning, just kind of pushing myself to make sure at one point I was able to taper off, that we call it, and just kind of running our personal best. And I really have learned those to follow on those traits with work, with the real world now. And I really think, and it's just being motivated and being able to, want to overcome challenges and not have that much of a fear to, ask for help as well. That's another thing that I really think has helped me, is just really being open about what I am, who I am, what we do, and what I'm trying to accomplish. Just being positive about everything and always bringing the smile there towards anyone that you meet.
That's awesome. I can't think of a better way to end our conversation on those great notes. You know, you summed up a lot of great conversations that we've had. You know, you've kind of tied in some great principles of mindset. You know, where your attitude is, keeping those disciplines to overcome challenges. I mean, you are showing all of the great things and the qualities that have made you successful. So I can't wait to see what things develop and where you go from here. This has been a wonderful conversation, and I know you're busy. I know you've got a lot going on, and so I really appreciate you taking the time to have a conversation with me.
Oh, yes. I really appreciate you also taking the time out of your day to speak to me. I've always been interested in trying to provide word about what we provide as service, and just kind of wanting to be a role model for the youth as well. I mean, during this pandemic and just trying to overcome obstacles has been very challenging. But I always say that you have to try to bring it to the best of your abilities and try to learn something new. And I really want to, push and give back towards the community as best as I can. And I hope for one day to have others want to follow in the same footsteps and want to provide conservation and sustainability towards the natural environment, and as well as real estate, just being able to create more opportunity, more business, and more families for, or more homes for families.
Well, you all of those things are things that we need in our community. You know, we're pushing at KEDC uh, towards all of those efforts. And business owners like you, those are the kinds of partners that we want and that we're looking for. And so we look forward to great conversations in the future, and those partnerships. And so I think it's really awesome as well that those mentors that have meant so much to you, that you are continuing that legacy as well. So we appreciate you, and we'll definitely be having future conversations and looking for opportunities to work together.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Yes, you too.